Hey, fifth graders, we are in lesson 612, division of decimals by decimals. Man, have you been progressing throughout this unit and learning about multiplication and division of decimals. Grab that whiteboard marker, and math journal. On your whiteboard, would you please number 1, 2, and 3. What number would you put in that missing blank so that when you multiplied it by 10 to the second power or by 100, you would get 1,800? What would you, now be careful, dividing by 100 or 10 to the second power to get 7 and 39/100. Remember, when we divide, the number gets smaller. When we multiply, it gets larger. And when we multiply by 10 to the fourth power, we get 550,000. Go ahead and just put in the answer for those 3 blanks. Pause the video as needed. In number 1, here's my 2 zeros, so just get rid of those. What did you end up with? You started with 18. Here, move the decimal point 2 places to the right because we started with a number that was 100 times greater. And what did we start with? 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. We started with 55. All right, let's number 1 to 3 again. What did you start with so that when you multiplied by 10 to the third power, you got 550? Think decimal for number 1. When you divided by 10 to the second power, you got 30 and 75/100. And when you multiplied by 10 to the second power 100, you got 8,411. Pause your video and fill in the 3 blanks. Number 1, you started with 5,500. Because the number got larger, you move it 3 places, 1 for each 0, 1, 2, and 3. Number 2, you started with 3,075 because when you divided, it got moved 2 places to the left, 1, 2. And when you multiplied by 100, you started off with 84 and 11/10. And you moved your decimal point 2 places, 1 for each 0. Now, grab a calculator if you don't have one handy. It says use a calculator to solve these problems and record a number sentence for each problem. Go ahead and solve them. Use your calculator. What was your answer for each of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 number problems? Did you get 20 for everything? The answer is 20. Each of those gave a solution or an answer or a quotient of 20. How do the dividends change from problem to problem? The dividend. So the dividends are in blue. How did the divisor change? Divisor. Well, let's take a look at these type of problems in your math journal today. So we're going to start on page 227, page 227. And again, a long set of instructions. For problems 1 and 2, write an equivalent division problem that has a whole number divisor. Be sure to multiply the dividend and the divisor by the same number. Make an estimate for your equivalent problem. Divide as if the dividend were a whole number to solve your equivalent problem. Use your estimate to place the decimal point. Complete the number sentences to show the answers to the equivalent problem and the original problem. It's a lot of directions. Let's start with number 1. 2 and 79/100 divided by 9/100. I multiply each one by 10 so that I end up with 27 and 9/10 divided by 9. That got rid of that decimal point in the divisor. So my estimate would be 27 and 9/10 is close to 28. And then I can say 9 is closest to 10. And 28 divided by 10 would give me 2 and 8/10. Because remember, when I divide, that number answer is going to get smaller. So let's go ahead and then divide. So I'm going to take 27 and 9/10 and divide that by 9. So let's go ahead and use traditional division. How many 9s are there in 2? Well, there's not. So I'm going to say how many 9s are there in 27? Well, there's 3. 9 times 3 is 27. Bring down my 9. How many 9s are in 9? 1. So where would I put my decimal point so my answer is close to 2 and 8/10? I would put it between the 3 and the 1. So my answer is 3 and 1/10. So 27 and 9/10 divided by 9 equals 3 and 1/10. Let's take a look at number 2. We're going to take and we're going to multiply by 100 because I want to get rid of the decimal point in the divisor. So look, when I multiply by 100, it gets 100 times greater. The decimal point moves to the end of the number. That also means it moves here 2 places. So I have to put a 0 there, divided by 14 equals x. I can make this 8,500 divided by 10. This 0 cancels out this 0. 850 divided by 1 is 850. Our answer should be close to 850. So let's set up the problem. 8,540 divided by 14. So I'm going to use partial quotients. I'm going to say how many. I'm going to say start with 200. Remember, anything doubled is pretty easy to figure out. So 14 doubled is 28 with 2 zeros behind it. Go ahead and subtract. Can it go in there another 200 times? Absolutely. 2,800, 24 times 2, or 24 doubled is 28, with 2 zeros behind it. Subtract. Can it go in there 200 more times? Yes. This one's going to be a little bit longer problem. 14 times 2, or 14 doubled is 28, with 2 zeros behind. Now, how many times does 14 go into 140? 10 times, right? Because 14 times 1 is 14 with 1 0 behind it. Ooh, almost ran out of space there. So I'm going to add together 200 plus 200 plus 200 plus 10 is 610. So equivalent problem is 8,540 divided by 14 is 610. Again, remember to pause at any point in time if you need additional time. All right, we have time to do a little bit on our math boxes on page 228. Number 1 says estimate the quotient for each problem, then circle the most reasonable answer. So here we go. 30 divided by, and 10 is a whole lot easier. 3 divided by 1 is 3. Which is the best answer? B. 506 and 9/10 times 1 and 2/10. Man, I would just call this 500 times 1 is 500. Which answer is closest to 500? Circle it. 608 and 28/100. 954 and 16/100. Let's just call it 1,000. Divided by, let's just call this 200. Let's see what happens here. These 2 zeros cancel out these 2 zeros. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Which answer is closest to 5? Circle it. All right, number 2, solve. Use the area model to help you. So again, remember, this is in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equal sections. So let's label it 1, 6, 2, 6, 3, 6, 4, 6, 5, 6, and we know that 6, 6 is the same as 1. 1 equal section, 2, 3, that's in thirds. So this would be 1/3, 2/3, 3/3 is the same as 1 whole. So we're going to go 2/3 of the way. So remember right here. And 5/6. So right here. Shade in 2/3 times 5/6. How many squares is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2 times 5 is 10. And how many squares in all? 3 times 6 is 18. Eloise bought $79.84 worth of groceries. What was her change as she paid with a $100 bill? Whoa. So we would take 100 minus $79.84. And her change would be the difference between those two. Go ahead and set up. But go ahead and put 0 cents because we will need to line that up in order to be able to subtract 84 cents from it. So go ahead and set that up. Now you have to be careful because you cannot take 0 minus 4. So you have to go all the way over to the 100. Take that $100 bill and turn it into 10 tens. Then take one of those tens. So take one of them, turn it into 10 ones. Take one of those dollar bills and turn it into 10 dimes. Take one of those 10 dimes, turn into 10 pennies. Bring your decimal point straight down, and now you can subtract. 10 minus 4 pennies is 6 pennies. 9 dimes minus 8 dimes is 1 dime. $9 minus $9 is $0. 9 $10 bills minus 7 $10 bills is $20. $20.16. And lastly, when dividing by a whole number, you're going to turn that into a fraction by putting the denominator as 1. And then dividing just basically means to multiply. We put now the denominator on the top, the numerator on the bottom. We multiply straight across. 1/27. All right, that's it for today.